Hey, what's up guys? This is going to be a video for my buddy TuffThumbz. I'm sure most of you are already subscribed to him, but if you are not, go ahead and go to his channel and check him out. Try to help him out with his new anodizing kit, and I'm going to go over some basics to anodizing and hopefully get you situated right. So let's start with the multi-etch. This is your chemical you mixed with a gallon of distilled water. Now this is the diluted solution, and you're gonna have to heat this up. The concentrated solution you would have filled with a half gallon of distilled water, and you would have been able to use it cold, so you wouldn't have to heat it up, and you would leave it in there for a couple minutes. And since you got the diluted solution, you're going to need to heat it up. And what I do is put it in a Rubbermaid plastic container. This is my multi-etch right here, and I just put it on the stove. I'm sure you saw the video. You just put this on the stove and heat it up, and I use a infrared thermometer to check it, and I wait till it gets to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So the tub or a pan that I'm boiling it in, I usually let the water heat up, but I don't let it boil so you don't have bubbles splashing around everywhere. So probably put it on low heat, and just wait till that gets to 160 degrees. And you're gonna need some wire clips. I'm sure you've got some titanium wire, probably came to you like that. You'll just need to cut out some pieces and shape them. This is probably the most useful piece I have. Since my wife makes jewelry, she's got all kinds of cool pliers to make different shapes and stuff. But just make you some titanium wires, and you do not want to dip anything that is not titanium into your multi-etch solution. Do not put steel or aluminum or glass or anything else. So that's why you want to keep it in a plastic container. And so after you heat it up to 160 degrees, you are going to leave it in there for probably 3 to 5 seconds. What you need to do is watch the titanium. Once you dip it in there, you can actually see it turn a very bright titanium color, because if it's a stonewash finish, you will actually remove the stonewash finish. And if it's a polished titanium piece, you need to get it in there and out of there as quick as you can, because it'll remove the stonewashing, and if it's a polished piece, it will actually make it a dull piece of titanium. Because the etching solution is just like acid etch for steel. It's actually eating away at the steel, so you gotta watch that if you want to preserve the finish. I would say 2 to 3 seconds is good, because titanium, when it's sitting in air, it has an oxide layer on it, and the etching solution removes that oxide layer. Now here is my other Rubbermaid tub. This has distilled water in it. After I dip my titanium piece in the etching solution for 3 to 5 seconds, it goes directly into this distilled water as quickly as possible. It goes directly into here. It doesn't even take a half a second. You put it in here, swish it around, and then I have another distilled water tub, because this is the rinsing. This is what I use to rinse off the multi-etch that is on the part, and then from there I'll take it and put it in a clean distilled water tub, so the part is completely clean, and then it will go into my anodizing tub. Right here is my anodizing tub, and here is my plate. This is my negative. Right here, it's a large titanium plate with a see, all I did was cut a slit in the titanium, and I bent the titanium wire to fit in there. So this is a solid piece right here, and that just sits in the tub like that. And I have 2 liters of water in here, and My electrolyte solution is trisodium phosphate. I've got a 4.5 pound thing right here. Should last me a lifetime. I use 5 grams. This is why you need a digital scale. You don't need one, but for 10 bucks, I would suggest just pick one up. You know, you can get one of these off Amazon for 10 bucks. And I'll weigh out 5 grams of the trisodium phosphate per liter of water. And so this is a 2-liter tub, so I put 10 grams of TSP in there. Mix it up real good, and use distilled water for everything. You don't use tap water for anything because of the impurities in it. And after a few weeks of your electrolyte solution, you will need to change it out, so you might as well buy a few gallons of distilled water at the next time you're at the supermarket, because you'll see a lot of white cloudy stuff in there. That's just impurities. I'm not sure where it comes from, but just change out your solution whenever that starts getting cloudy. I always put the cover back on my Tupperwares after I'm done so the dust doesn't settle in there. You don't want the impurities caused by dust. So after I have it in the multi-etch for 3 seconds, it goes into the rinsing distilled water, and then it goes to my other distilled water tub, and then it goes directly into my electrolyte solution. And I do not keep it in the air more than a half a second. It's always in distilled water or the etching solution. Do not let the titanium dry in the air. Don't let it sit out, because it's just going to grow another oxide layer on the titanium, and that's why we do the multi-etches, to remove that oxide layer, and that will give us brighter colors on our titanium when we're anodizing. If you want those bright colors, you always keep it in distilled water. You can store it in distilled water as long as you need to. Just do not store it out in the air, otherwise you'll just have to etch it again. Like I said before, never put anything in your etching or anodizing solution that is not titanium. So make sure alligator clips that are made of steel do not touch the solution. Make sure your wires are made of titanium. And now remember that your positive always goes onto the titanium. The piece you're anodizing always gets positive. And if you look at this pocket clip, it has a tiger stripe anodizing. I do that with paint brushes. You can easily paint your anodizing on. The way you do that is you take your positive, clip it to the titanium you're anodizing, and your negative lead is going to clip onto, make sure you get these brushes with the metal right there clamping the brush on, and you're going to clip your negative on here and dip it in your anodizing solution. Get the tip nice and wet, and what you can do is paint. Just select your voltage for the color you need and paint it on. Now be very careful that the metal part does not touch the titanium you're anodizing, because you will get a very large spark, and more than likely it will be stuck to it like that. It will be welded on, so you got to be very careful. Alright, let's talk about the anodizer real quick. Whenever you're anodizing, what you should do is set it to the voltage for the color you need, and you want to have the negative connected to your plate, have the voltage set to where you want it, and then you'll go ahead and clip the positive to the piece you're anodizing. Just touch it real quick, and what you'll do is watch your amperage. Now your amperage will start out high, and then what you want to do is cut off your anodizing when it gets to around 0.050, 0.040, something like that. Now it's actually it'll keep dropping until it gets to 0.001 or some small number, but you don't want to let it get all the way down there, because the longer you leave it in there, you're going to grow it's like a gray cloudy film over the titanium. And the color, it starts out vibrant, and the longer you leave it in there, it'll get a cloudy layer on there. But you can actually scrub it off with a toothbrush and soap. You just have to scrub it really hard, and then you'll get a the color, the original color you're supposed to get. But I guess you risk scratching the titanium color because the film, the anodizing film, is very thin and easy to scratch off, so you don't want to be scrubbing that off. It's easier just to cut it off at the right amperage. And also, it is best to set it to the voltage you want, rather than say you want it at 24 volts and then you connected it and then you just slowly ramped it up to 24 volts, because the longer you leave it in there, you'll get a cloudy finish. So just set it to the voltage you want and quickly touch it, wait till it drops down to about 0.040 amps, and then cut it off real quick, take it out, inspect it, make sure it's the color you want. And I think you said you got a plastic mesh or something to set in there to protect, because you don't want your positive and negative. If you have a scale hanging on here and you accidentally touch that right there, you'll probably weld it together. So you don't want to do that. So you want to have a plastic screen in there to protect, so they can't touch, but I just be extra careful, make sure I don't. So and another little trick, if you want to increase the anodizing thickness, if you're anodizing it blue at 24 volts and you wanted to increase the thickness just a tad, you'd anodize it to 24 volts, wait till it drops down, and just slowly put it up to about 24.2, 24.3, 24.4, and then you'd actually grow that oxide layer thickness on there. It would be just slightly thicker, I think a little more durable, but you may get a cloudy film on there. You know, sometimes it doesn't, but it will resist scratching just a little bit more. So just anodizing to the voltage you want, 24 volts, and then just ramp it up like 0.2, 0.3 volts, and that will grow a slightly thicker layer on there without changing the color. So if you really want vibrant, perfect colors, let's talk about prep work. Prep work is very important. What I do with the titanium is I wash it in hot water with some Dawn dish soap with a soft bristled toothbrush. I scrub the titanium. I scrub the titanium very well, make sure there's no grease or oil on there, and then I'm going to put it in my ultrasonic cleaner, which has some about 120 degree water in there, just regular tap water, and I'll let that sit in the ultrasonic cleaner for a few minutes. That will make sure the titanium is microscopically clean. If you don't have one of those already, I would really suggest you get one. They're only like 55 bucks, and it makes cleaning knives a breeze. It really does. So that makes sure the titanium is, microscopically clean. There's no oil fingerprints or anything on there. I'll put some degreaser in the ultrasonic cleaner, maybe some purple power or whatever, and that will make sure it is perfectly clean. And then it will go into my distilled water rinsing Tupperware. I'll swish around the titanium in there, make sure there's no impurities from the tap water on there, and then it will go into my multi-etch, and then it will be rinsed off and then anodized. So prep work is just as important as the other things if you want a real deep, consistent color on the pieces you're anodizing. So when you're anodizing frame locks, like I said, nothing goes in your solution except for titanium. So when you got a frame lock, you have the detent ball, and you often have the lock face that is carbidized, and you do not want that in your etching solution. It will contaminate it, and when you're anodizing, it will actually draw away current from what you're anodizing. So if you didn't, what I do is put a thin layer of clear nail polish over the detent ball and over the lock face. Now if you don't cover that up, you may get like a different color line right here where it's drawing away current, because the stainless steel will draw current away from what you're trying to do. So you may have some discoloration in this area, so it's important to cover that up. And after you're done anodizing it, just take some acetone and clean the nail polish off. And alright, in your anodizing solution, one of the key things is Your titanium negative piece right there needs to have more surface area than the part you're anodizing. So the largest piece of titanium sheet you can find, the better. Just make sure it has more surface area than the part you're anodizing. Alright, I've got this 0560 frame here. It has only been cleaned and degreased. It has not been put in multi-etch. I'm going to anodize it at 24 volts and see what we can come up with. Alright, I'm going to demonstrate for you when you should cut off your anodizing. I'm going to go ahead and connect the lead. You can see that. See it turn bronze as it's dropping voltage. Keeps dropping. Now you need to look at your part to look at the color. Once it gets to the color you're looking for, which I'm looking for blue, I'll go ahead and disconnect it. And what I like to do when I'm anodizing is shake the part while I'm anodizing it and watch the voltage. As you can see, the voltage has leveled out. Now once it's leveled out, you need to take it off quickly. There's no sense in leaving it on there. You're just going to get a cloudy color. Let's see what kind of color we got here. As you can see, not very good looking. Not very blue. Let's go. This is what it came out looking like. See, on the edges, like on the corners, it seems like it's a very vibrant blue, but in the middle, it's like there's a gray coating on there, and that's that cloudiness I was talking about if you leave it in there too long, or if you let it, if you don't keep it in distilled water after transporting it out of the multi-etch. Like on the inside, that's like not blue at all. It's very cloudy. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is scrub this with a toothbrush and see if I can remove some of that cloudiness. Alright, scrubbing it with a toothbrush has revealed a more vibrant color, but still very cloudy and not uniform. So I'm going to go ahead and dip this in the multi-etch and re-anodize it and show you what it looks like. Alright, I don't know if it came out earlier, but the solution a minute ago was very cloudy, and there's a lot of, I guess, particles from, it's about maybe a 3-week-old solution. I'm not really sure where it comes from or how to prevent it, but what I did was I just filtered it through a coffee filter, and all those cloudy particles are gone, and that has a lot to do with how good your anodizing comes out. So if you don't want to remix another tank, just filter it through a coffee filter. The electrolyte should still be in there, still clean distilled water. Everything should work fine. Just use the minimal amount of etching solution that you need. I've etched a bunch of knives and I still got that much solution left. That's how much is in there. I usually fill it up to about right there, and the less you have in there, the easier it is to heat it up and less chance of spilling. But eventually, whenever you're heating it up, I like to have the cover on. Put a cover on it and just crack it open a little bit, so when it heats up it expands or whatever, and the gases will go out, so you don't have the lid blow off. But you have it on there so because this will evaporate when you're heating it up, so the condensation will form and it'll just fall back in there. But if you heat it up with the lid off, it'll evaporate pretty quick, but it still will eventually evaporate a little bit. And when that happens, just pour some more of your etching solution in there. You don't need to dump it out unless you've got some metals in there you didn't want. If you put some steel or aluminum in there, it will mess with the concentration a little bit, but I just add more etching chemical when it evaporates. So I've got the titanium scale cleaned and degreased. It's sitting in distilled water right now. This is where it will sit until my multi-etch gets hot enough. Rather than, I like to set some wet titanium into the multi-etch. I think it's better than dry titanium. Make sure you're wearing a mask when you're messing with the multi-etch. The fumes are dangerous, so if you're in the Not sure where you're going to be doing it, but I do it in my kitchen. I make sure my fan is on high and I'm wearing a mask. If you can do it outside, it would be recommended. Just do it in a well ventilated area. The multi-etch is some pretty nasty stuff. You don't want to be breathing it in. And make sure you don't wipe it on your clothes. That goes with the TSP also. Make sure you don't get that on your clothes and skin. Not good for you. And when you dip it in the multi-etch, make sure you pay attention to holes and crevices in the titanium. Like if you dip it in the multi-etch that way, you're going to have air bubbles in the machining on the inside of the titanium scale there. So make sure if you dip it, if you have enough multi-etch to dip it straight in, that'll be good. Otherwise, sometimes I'll dip mine straight down like that. Just make sure you move it around to get those air bubbles out to get it inside the scale, if that's important. Now, water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, if I'm not mistaken. And if it's boiling, it's too hot. So what you need to do is turn down your heat a little bit, get it to where it's not boiling, and then just wait for your temperature to get to 160 degrees. You can just look at the bottom of the solution to see if it's bubbling. If it is, it should be around the right temperature. Just point your infrared laser at it. When it gets to 160, you'll be good. Go ahead and dip your part in there. If you want it to heat up quicker, just make sure you cover it. It will heat up a lot quicker. See how all those little bubbles are formed at the bottom of the etching solution? That's how you know that's at the perfect temperature right now. So we got a blue part. Go ahead and dip it in the etching solution. And I'll wash it very closely. What I like to do is dip it in there, put it in the distilled water, inspect it to see if it looks right. And if it's still got some places where it looks like it didn't etch, I'll go ahead and dip it again real quick. Make sure you get it in the distilled water as quick as you can, and then leave it in there. Inspect it again. Now you don't want to inspect it while it's in the air. You want to inspect it while it's in distilled water in a safe place. Looks like I could use a little bit more. Alright, turn off the solution. When you're done heating it up, just take it off of your heater. Set it to the side with the lid on it a little bit. Let it cool down. Alright, here's what the titanium looks like after it's been etched. It's kind of a dull, bright finish. See how it's very bright compared to how it was. Now once you take it out of the water and it dries, when the titanium reacts with the air, it'll actually create an oxide layer. So I'm going to put it right into the solution. Take it out of the distilled water, put it in the solution. Move it around a little bit, make sure you get rid of all the air bubbles. Because if there's no water in the crevice, it will not anodize there. So shake it up real good. Make sure your piece is not touching the negative here, and make sure it's floating in mid water. Make sure it's not setting at the bottom of your tank, so make sure you got a big enough tank and you made your fixture correctly. Alright, see if we can get this done right, and go ahead and connect the positive. As soon as I connect it, start shaking it around, because it's going to start forming bubbles on the titanium piece and it will affect your color. And watch the amperage at the same time. It's starting to turn blue. So I already know right now it's at the right color. So once that amperage starts to level out, you want to immediately take it off. The sooner the better. I can actually take it off right now. And it is now safe to interact with the air, so you can take it out of the water because it's already been anodized, so it won't react with the air anymore. and actually it looks good, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at that. Maybe just another tap, see where the amperage is at. 0.8, 0.9, yeah, that's good. See how deep this color is compared to the first time I did it without the multi-etch. The piece actually looked kind of gray in the water, and the blue didn't come out till after the part was dry. So let's go wash this off. I don't do anything special to rinse it off. I just use regular hot tap water. You don't need to use distilled water or anything. And then after that I'll scrub it a little bit with a toothbrush to get that cloudy film off of there if there is any. See, now that is much better, much more vibrant. If you look at the center where the lock bar stabilizer is, it looks a little bit gray. There's a little bit of cloudiness there. And if you look at the other side, there's much more cloudiness. So I'm going to attempt to take that off with a toothbrush. Scrubbing very lightly. Make sure you don't have anything stuck to the toothbrush that might scratch the surface. Another thing I like to do is after I'm done anodizing it and I'm scrubbing off the cloudiness, I will turn it halfway around so the other side is facing the negative plate, and then I'll just tap it again to re-anodize that other side. Because it was originally sitting in here like that, that's how I anodize it, so I'll just take it out, turn it around, and tap it again. And when I'm done anodizing, I just undo that right there, let it fall, sits in there like that, close the lid, so you got an airtight container ready for your next anodize. Well, here's the finished item at 24 volts. Got a very vibrant color, looks awesome. As you can see, the detent ball has a non-anodized circle around it where the nail polish is, and the carbonized lock face, that's still protected, so all we got to do is take some acetone to remove that and we'll be good. There was actually one time when I forgot to do it, and that carbonized lock face, it was brown, it looked like it was rusting somehow, and the detent ball is actually rusty. So you want to make sure you protect that at all costs. Well, I hope you learned something, buddy, and I hope you can get your anodizing kit set up, working right. And if you have any other questions, just call me or email me, and try to help you out. As for everyone else, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I hope you guys have a great day. See ya.